Hey guys, welcome back. This is Dr. Cloud Show, and it's good to be talking to you again and welcome you into it's become my new home, my study, my little man cave here in COVID land. But it feels in another way, it's like a gateway to the whole world because I get to talk to you. And for those of you who are new to the program, I want to welcome you as well. But here's what we do here: we hang out for an hour, and some of you call in and you share your lives and you share your dilemmas, and we all think about it together. And sharing our stories is the way that we, or at least opens the door to the way that we grow. We learn from each other, we identify with each other. We see, it might not have exactly that context, but I have that feeling. I know what it's like to be rejected. Maybe it wasn't by a family or a spouse or a boss or maybe one of the above or not to, but there's something in everybody's situation pretty much that is usually universal to the human experience, rejection or abandonment or feeling controlled or feeling oppressed or feeling like you just can't get moving, all of that stuff we talk about here. And we get to talk to you. So, speaking of getting to talk to you, let me give you the phone number for the next hour. You can call in. And for those of you who aren't listening live, this is how this works. So, it's live, obviously, when it's live, but it sits on the web, on all the platforms 24/7. So, you can send the link to your friends. And we appreciate it if you do that because we're trying to build an audience here so we can stay on the air. And you can send that to your friends. You can tell them to download it as a podcast. If they go to boundaries.me podcast, like on iTunes or wherever you get your podcast, it'll be sitting there. And you can listen while you work out, while you're getting skinny, okay? While you're working on that treadmill or whatever it is. Okay, so here's the number 844-940-2774. So if you've been around the show long, in the first few minutes, I usually talk about something, a little concept for us to all be thinking about. And today I want to, I don't know if I've ever talked about this on the program or not, but it's really, 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 really important because it's basically the essence that any kind of change happens. Any kind of change happens. You know, you've heard a lot of stuff out there. Well, it takes 21 days to change a habit. That's just not true. I don't know where that came from. And it takes this, and it takes that, and it takes that. And obviously, a lot of times, there's there's things that people learn from experience, and what they'll do is say, "Well, this has worked for me, and this has worked for me." And but sometimes they don't actually, in their experience, they because they're not coming at this from the science mind, figuring out, well, what was the real factor in there that made it change? Okay. What was the real factor in there that made it change? Let me give you an example. Um, my father. My father was he always said he was fortunate because he was the seventh son of a seventh son, which I guess is a lucky thing. But his family had 13 kids, and he was really towards the end, one of the youngest, and they were very, very, very poor when he was growing up, and then he had me late in life, so my father was way older, and when the depression hit, and kind of about that time, he actually had to drop out of school in the eighth grade to go to work to feed the family, to help feed the family. And so, really, really, really tough time. Well, later on, right before World War II, he enlists in the army, and they give him an IQ test, and I guess he blew it out of the water, and they instantly promoted him to being in charge of a bunch of stuff. He had quite a quite a decorated career in World War II in Europe. But the point is, he used to tell me when I was growing up, he says, everybody should be in the army for 2 years. Best thing that ever happened to me. Everybody should be in the army for 2 years. I'm going, okay, when would I work that in? I mean, I got to go, you know how you think when you're 11, right? But what was my dad saying when he said that? Does everybody have to go in the army for 2 years? No. But what he said was, because that's when I really grew up. That's when I learned how to dot, dot, dot. That's when and in that experience of training and being in the service, what he was saying was that changed his life. It grew him up. He changed, he grew, he matured, he developed competencies and capacities in that time. But it wasn't being in the army. That's my point. There were factors inside of that that were the key change ingredients. And that's the context and the form and the way that he went through it, where he experienced those factors. But here's the good news for you: if you're not so inclined, you don't have to join the army to change, but you do have to join the factors that drive change. And when people give, oh, well, this worked for me or this worked for me, if you've got the smart eyes, what you'll see is, well, the reason it worked was there were these factors in place. Okay. So here's just a few things I want you to think about. When we change, any kind of change, we change behavior, we change our emotional regulation, we change our habit patterns, we change our responses, whatever kind of growth that we experience and change, that requires some sort of medium for that to be expressed and driven by. I guess that sentence is right. Meaning that if if you take if you take an old iPhone and it didn't have the capacity to do what we're doing now, you would have to install a new chip in there that would make it have the capacity to do that new thing. Well, see, we're like that, and we have our brains, they grow wiring that new behaviors run down. It's like you get a new phone line in your house. Remember that? You get a new phone line in your house, well, you got to get a new wire because that line has got to run down its own wire. Well, our brains are like this, got to get wired. So, how do we produce the new wiring? You join the army. Well, maybe. Or you find the ingredients that were present there in whatever behavior you're trying to change, and you make sure that they're there. Okay. So, I'm going to give you four, and I want you to ask yourself, maybe this is why whatever you've wanted to change hasn't changed, because one of these ingredients is missing. All right. Number one is awareness. What am I trying to change? And and what would it look like to do it right? Okay, if I don't know how to communicate and I don't even know I got a communication problem, or I'm defensive or whatever it is, if I interrupt a lot in conversations, or if I talk all the time, or if I'm combative, or whatever it is, okay, then the first thing I've got to know is, how the heck do you do this well? What's even the issue? I've got to become aware of what the issue is, aware of how I'm operating in that issue or problem, and aware of the right way to do it. Okay, if I want to improve my golf game, which I am so ready to get back to, this stupid knee surgery. If I want to improve my golf game, then I got to become aware of, what am I working on here? All right. I can watch a video. I can read a book. I can talk to a professional. I can go to the range and have somebody, talk about the swing and, where I got to take the club and how I got to load the weight and how I got to, what my spine angles and all this. And I can learn all this stuff. In other words, I can go to church on Sunday, right? I can get the lecture, and we need it. Hard to change something if you don't know what the hell you're trying to change or how it works. Hard, very hard. So we got to learn. We got to become aware. We got to become aware of how I do it and how I need to change. That's number one. That's what a lot of people do. They read a book. I've had people say, well, I read your book and, it didn't really help. Well, I say, well, what did you do after you read it? Did you do what chapter 3 said? Because what you described is right there. I tell you what to go do. Did you go do it? Well, no. What's the second ingredient? See, we can't just read something. I can read a book on golf, read Tiger's book or Jack Nicklaus's book. Oh, this is the way you do it. Well, the second thing is focused attention on that issue in real time. Focused attention on that issue in real time. So in other words, when I'm going out there and now I'm gonna be in meetings, or I'm gonna be talking to my wife or my kids or my team or whatever it is, and I found out, I don't listen well, or I'm an interrupter, or I'm not assertive or whatever. I've got to have something that cues me to focus my attention in real time on that. And usually that means engaging, usually some sort of outside structure or an outside person. Okay, so I go to the driving range. I'm going to work on, okay, what I've been finding is as I take the club away, I'm taking it too far inside. I've got to take it back on a little different plane. All right. So when I get on the range, I don't go out there and just start hitting golf balls. I've got my teacher there or a friend, and I'm saying, tell me, point it out when I take it too far inside. And I take it and they go, okay, right there. See, and they name it right in the moment. Focused attention. Okay, that cues the brain to, okay, focus, watch this. This is how you're doing it. See, we're getting immediate feedback. Okay, focused attention. Number two, my wife and I have a practice. And this is really, really helpful. If one of us does something that the other one doesn't like or doesn't feel good or whatever, and we'll say, however you communicate, you're not liking something. Well, here's what you'll hear one of us say. Oh, I didn't. Okay, well, tell me when I do that because I'm not aware of it. Great, I'll point it out. And see now, 2 hours later, when we're going about life, and one of us does it again, and said, "Okay, that's what I'm talking about right there." You go, oh, I didn't realize it. And see, now we're focusing on it in real time. That's very different than just going and hearing the sermon on it. So you go hear a sermon on, this, that, and the other. Well, something's got to be focus during the week on what we just heard. All right. Number three, deliberate practice of the new behavior. Deliberate means I'm doing this intentionally and I'm practicing. So she says, you said that kind of harshly again or whatever. I say, okay, let me try it again. And we're communicating in different ways. This is what workshops are about. This is what listening training is about. This is what a golf lesson is about. Okay, this time I want you to really focus on taking the club back like this. This time I want you to really focus on try to say your words without the edge or without the anger. Okay, this time I want you to really focus on when you wake up and you have that thought, I'm too tired to go work out. You really focus on what we talked about of the way to get out of bed and text your accountability partner, whatever it is you focused on that's going to be the new behavior. Something's got to make us do that, and we have to have the deliberate practice. Okay, so awareness, focused attention to make us know in the moment we got to get this, and the deliberately practicing the new behavior. Now, the fourth ingredient is relational support throughout. So what you need is somebody on your team, like my golf instructor, or like, when I talked about my wife and I, or your spouse or friend or whoever it is, somebody that can point it out and say, okay, that's what we're talking about. Let's try it again, and you begin to practice and then you learn. I remember when the girls were little and they'd my daughters, and they, throw their tantrums, right? And I'd sit them down in timeout and say, okay, I know you're mad, but use your words. I'm not going to listen to screaming. They'd start screaming. I'd turn my head. So use your words. Use your words. Focused attention. Use your words. Practice. Well, I'm really, and they're starting to get the words out, and they're learning to talk about things. But we have to provide those ingredients. Sometimes the army can do that. Sometimes a friend can do that. Sometimes a therapist, sometimes a group, sometimes a team. So whatever you're changing, make sure those ingredients are there. Okay. Let's see. We are going to go to the phones out. Let me give the number 844-940-2774 is our number to get on the program. If you're new to the show, we take calls here. And you can call and talk about your life and your dilemmas. And then the show also can be shared. Share the links with people. It's there 24/7. And so we're going to take our first caller from Minnesota. This is Julie. Welcome to the program, Julie.
Hi, good afternoon, Dr. Cloud. My name is Julie,
Hi,
and
Julie.
thank you for taking my call. So I'm calling because this is all very raw, but on July 14th, my son, who is 22, tried to commit suicide, and
No.
thankfully he did not succeed. He's in the hospital he doesn't have any injuries. It's unbelievable based on his car. But my question is when I pick him up from the hospital, as a mother, I'm a single mother, how can I balance compassion and accountability as I walk through the recovery process with him? And there will be a lot of things that we need to work through, including the insurance company and stuff like that. Just, keeping my strength and, just knowing how to balance the compassion and, I support him 100%. I'm not ashamed of him. He's not ashamed of himself. I've been able to see him for an hour every day at the hospital since this occurred. So we've
and is he kind of like sort of sometimes after an attempt, you'll see some people who are going, yeah, I just couldn't, but now I see, and they've kind of made a turn, and it looks like he wants to live, he wants to engage in things, or is he still in a very dark place?
No, he's not. He's, in fact, he called me from the hospital the morning after it happened, and we had a really nice long conversation. I know he's been holding a lot in. He's got quite a bit of anger from different things that have happened, in his growing up with his father and some other things. And
has he ever been in
holding a lot
before?
of that in. Yes, he has. He's been seeing a counselor for about 6 months.
Okay. And is the counselor still involved with him after the hospitalization?
Not right now, he's not. He stopped seeing the counselor about, I think, maybe 2 weeks ago or so, maybe 3 weeks ago.
Oh. Okay. Well, the reason I ask is, as you know, and this also goes to the balance, I think, into your question, balancing the compassion and accountability. One of the things that I would, think is really important for you is, first of all, you're carrying a lot, right? So it's important that you're finding your own people that are holding you up, whoever that is. It may be part of the family meetings or the treatment teams or the support system, but also maybe your own counselor or friend or whatever. But I wouldn't want you to be trying to hold all this up without somebody holding you up. So that's number one. Put the mask on yourself on the airplane before you try to help the person in the seat next to you. Okay. But number two is probably really important to, and I'm sure the hospital is doing this. This would be normal, but to be in conversations with them and ask them the very same question. There's some things that he's going to have to do that I want to help him be accountable to doing those. At the same time, I want to understand and show compassion, and then talk with him if possible and the counselor. So what are the best ways that I can help you follow through on what you need to do? And I'm afraid, I'd say my fear, I'm afraid, well, if I remind you, I don't want you to take that as I'm not on your team or not being compassionate or whatever. Um, so let's just get a plan. And I think if you can integrate
Yeah.
with the treatment team and everybody, see, in recovery, everybody has a role. You've got a role in this very different than his role. And each role
Mhm.
has responsibilities. And so I would want you guys kind of defining your roles and what part of the accountability does he have to his therapist, ongoing therapist, new therapist, whoever he's going to be seeing, as well as probably a group that they hopefully would get him in. Um,
Mhm.
that's how I would approach it. And remember, um, if you've agreed, holding somebody accountable really has to do with mutually agreed upon expectations. So if you guys have
Mhm.
agreed on what the expectations are, then when you're quote holding him accountable, however you do that, it's already something that he's agreed to, and it feels less like a lack of compassion. So I would
Mhm.
have the expectations talked about early and soon.
Yeah.
Does that
Well, we've
help?
talked about this. So yeah, he's a very responsible person. So my question isn't at all geared toward, that he's going to try to blow anything off in terms of his recovery. It's
Yeah.
just, um, when I try to visualize how this is going to look, what we're planning on doing is, he's going to have a couple initial follow-up meetings,
All
and
right.
then I have a camper at a beautiful place in northern Minnesota on Lake Superior, and the two of us are going to go up there for a week so
Great.
he can kind of decompress, be out in nature, and
Okay.
get some,
Well,
sun and some exercise. And
yeah, that's great. Well, whatever y'all work out as a plan, I'm just saying that a lot of times
mhm,
the plan and understanding the expectations and the roles that takes care of a lot of what you're asking about balancing, compassion and accountability.
right,
Because obviously you have a lot of
understand that. Yeah,
empathy and understanding for him. Okay. Hope that's
of
helpful to
course.
you.
Yeah,
I
it
would
is.
encourage you and him. I would encourage you and him with this. Um, I had inpatient psychiatric hospital treatment centers and outpatient for a long time. I was the clinical director with John Townsend of a hospital treatment center system that we built. Point being, kind of overseeing treatment of lots and lots and lots of suicidal people, over those years. And I would encourage you guys with this and tell him, you know, I'm sure somebody's telling this, but sometimes people have a suicide attempt. Obviously, it's the pain speaking. Sometimes it's a depression actually making the decisions, not even the person. And they don't see any options, and options have been limited, and there's no, there aren't any answers, this, that, and the other. But so many times they do so well when they get in the right kind of treatment, the right kind of path. And this doesn't have to be the end or the beginning of an end. It can be kind of the end of a beginning. That this is a
Mhm.
beginning to a new path for him, and I hope he finds that to be true. So God bless you
Thank
guys,
you,
and
and that's
thank.
what he shared on the phone. Thank
Oh,
you.
that's great. That's great.
I appreciate that.
Okay, thank you for your call. This is the Dr. Cloud Show. You know, just a brief word about that. There's so many different feelings, obviously, around suicide when somebody has an attempt or they're thinking about it. But one of the things I do want to encourage you is if you have friends or if you have loved ones or whatever, and you fear or suspect or they say something or whatever, take it seriously and don't be afraid to broach the topic. You're by and large, you're not going to put an idea into somebody's head that it wasn't anything. But a lot of times we're afraid to ask somebody, "Are you okay? Have you been thinking of hurting yourself?" And sometimes we really, really need to ask. Because something needs to be done. Okay. This is the Dr. Cloud Show. You can call, and let me give you the number to do that: 844-940-2774. One little encouragement that I want to give you as an audience. You're doing so great. I just love how you're, supporting each other, your comments and everything. I've been a little out of, haven't been able to go on the platform so much because seems like in physical therapy all the time. But you're becoming we're gonna have herd immunity here, right? Against dysfunction. Herd immunity is a term we've all learned in COVID, right? When everybody gets the antibodies, then the virus can't stand. Well, there's a great metaphor in there. Not just about COVID, but about life. And if we're growing a herd of people here who have antibodies to dysfunction, wherever you find it, wherever those germs are going to get you, somebody wants to control you or tell you what to think or put their steering wheel inside of your brain or, whatever it is. If we learn the ways to deal with dysfunction in ourselves, first of all, and in others, then we become immune. We got an immune system. So that's what I love about this program. The audience, you guys are the best, and you share with each other and you give each other tips, in the groups. And so share the program with your friends. Let's build this herd. Let's build this tribe. Let's build this people that are trying to grow and take the next step and taking responsibility instead of blame, finding new options instead of excuses, empowering each other instead of trying to turn a key on a dead battery, getting some motivation, getting some inspiration, getting some paths, getting some ways. Let's become that kind of movement here on all the platforms. And also, if you want to take it to the next level, go to boundaries.me. Go to that webpage, boundaries.me, and you'll find my library of all of the little courses behind all of the stuff that we talk about in the program. If you want to go to the next step, go to boundaries.me, become a subscriber, join one of the groups there, get your growth path working, and come join us. Okay, here we go. 844-940-2774. And let's go to, let me see. Where are we? I lost my, one of the things about COVID, I said this, you're sitting there by yourself, and I'm trying to find all my calls on the screen here. Okay, Kendra from Arizona is calling us. Looks like she has a sister conflict. Kendra, welcome to the program.
Yeah, thank you.
Is that your sister yelling in the background?
No, that's my 2-year-old yelling in the background.
I kind of surmised that it sounded about 2, and I thought, well, that's easy sister conflict. Just give her a popsicle and put her in timeout. You got it.
Yeah.
So, what's going on?
Well, the biggest question I have is, how do I talk to her about the difference between forgiving her and reconciling with her? She was living with us for 3 months. She had some temper issues and yelled and screamed and swore at me a couple different times. We had her go stay with my mom for a couple weeks in California, and when we came back, we had her agree to some conditions that we had, and one of them was she lost her.
Okay, go ahead. One of the conditions was if she lost her temper.
She would have to leave immediately, and she was here with her husband and her kids, and we didn't say anything. We didn't say they had to leave. We just said she was going to have to go and find somewhere else. A few days before they were able to move into the new place that they found, she lost her temper with me, and I had to take my 2-year-old outside just to get away from it. She kept trying to follow me out there.
but at this point, she has apologized for losing her temper, but she keeps telling me that I'm not forgiving her because I not just allowing everything to go away. At this point, I don't trust her to in the way that she's going to treat me. I don't trust it not to happen again. I would need to protect my own children.
So what is she asking for?
Yeah, she also she just wants life to move on as normal. She just.
But what does that mean? I mean, my life is moving on as normal with you also, and I don't ever talk to you. So you know,
right.
what is life moving on for normal with the two of you look like? So what does that mean?
She just wants to be able to just send random funny texts and talk together and just do like just hang out. She's with this whole thing. She's a cake decorator, and with my daughter's birthday, we did not ask my sister to make the cake. We just did our own thing, just with our family at the house. She was upset about that, so she didn't even call and wish my daughter happy birthday or anything like that. She didn't acknowledge it.
Okay.
And part of it, she says that I can't change her. I just need to accept her the way that she is, which I know that's very true. Like, I can't change her, but I'm asking her to, if she wants a close relationship again, to let me know what she's doing to try to rebuild my trust. And she says I don't have a right to know anything that she's doing.
Okay. So what's the question?
How do I talk to her about that I want to reconcile, but in order to reconcile, I need to see steps that she's taking, and that it's not being unforgiving asking for that.
Okay. It's not unforgiving. Okay. You know, forgiveness, let me kind of, what am I trying to do here? Just kind of, there's a lot of dust around this topic. You know, just blow it away, right?
Right.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about around this topic. We talk about forgiveness and reconciliation, you know, moving on and all that. These are two different topics. Okay. Mm-hmm. Forgiveness has to do with the past. All right.
Right.
Moving forward and trusting somebody, trust always has to do with the future. I don't trust you for yesterday. I mean, I might have, but that's over now. So either I'm grateful that you honored my trust, or I'm forgiving that you didn't and you said you're sorry, and great. Okay, we're fine. Yesterday is all cleaned up. I'm not holding any grudges against you, sister. But if we're talking about, you know, if you're saying, let's put a goal out there that we want to be close again and have a good relationship and hang out. Okay. That's going to take me kind of learning that that's going to be okay and safe. So, sister, here's what I need you to understand. My track record with you has been, up until just last week, that if we are spending time together, that you might go off at me and start screaming at me in front of my child, which really upsets her and scares her, and I don't want that for my child. So that's all I have to go on right now. Okay, that's my last experience. So how do we build a new experience? And this is where I would probably tell you to, I don't know if she needs to really report into you about what she's doing to work on it. You could hold her accountable just to the result. Okay. In other words, okay, sister, you know what? If you want to go do it in your own therapy or whatever your plan is, that's okay. I'll agree to not having to know that. So let's take that off the table. But here's what I will need. It can't go all or nothing here. You can't go from I can't be in the same room with you to I can totally be in the same room with you all the time again. We can't, what we got to do is we got to inch back into this thing. So why don't we pick an hour for lunch and, get together with the kids or whatever and just kind of reacquaint ourselves and we'll just take it small steps. We're going to crawl, walk, run. We're not going to start running from the beginning. So let's just start small. That's what I would suggest. And if it goes well, then I'll know, and gradually, I'll know that you got this under control.
Yeah, some of the stuff too is it's a lack of appreciation for
what you did.
They were living here they were living here rent free, and they've just had, both her and her husband have had their entire married life. They seem to be taking advantage of people, and they struggle financially also, and a lot of people have helped get them out of trouble multiple times. And with them, that was the whole reason that they were living here, is because they couldn't find a new place within their their finances.
So is your question about that?
She also never showed appreciation for even being here. When they left, her husband told us, "Thank you very much. We appreciate that." But she never showed that type of thing either. And my stepdaughter had to leave New York, and she was sleeping on a couch because my sister and her husband had her bedroom here during the whole COVID thing.
Okay, so what's your question?
So just
it is a crummy feeling.
It's hard. Yeah. Right now, it's hard to just with the relationship with her. It's okay. I could see just eventually spending more time together, but on my end, it's hard that I just never feel anything that I do is valued with her. And
I would never,
every time,
unless there's some other reason to not say this, I would, when we talk about, we could inch back into this, sister, but I'm going to be honest with you. And I didn't mind it. I wanted to do it. I did it because I love you and we chose to help. But, we gave you a lot and we let you stay here and we had to put our stepchild out and this, that, and the other, which we wanted to do. I'm not holding that against you. What is hard for me is you've never said thank you. You've never acknowledged it. You never said thank you. And it's kind of, it's sort of like, that's a hard thing to, I just wonder why, And so I wouldn't mind saying that. And anyway, and inch back into it. So remember, and kind of in closing here, because I get some other calls, I would, forgiveness, just tell, look, forgiveness has to do with the past. I've wiped that out. I'm not holding each other. But, trust is going to be earned slowly. And let's figure out some baby steps to do that together.
Okay.
Good luck. Remember,
thank you.
as you have described it here, you are dealing with something that is not going to fix itself overnight. This is a long pattern. And so what you have to do is order your relationship correctly in terms of how much of the pattern you can be exposed to gradually until the pattern changes. And she may think that that's a little faster than you want. Thanks for your call. Oh my gosh. Oh, how much do relationships hurt? How much do relationships hurt? Not as much as me singing to you. I know that. But also, relationships are the biggest opportunity we have in life for fulfillment. Relationship drives everything, which is, when you think about it, that's why they hurt so much. You can't have something of extreme value not have extreme consequences when it fails. And that is why we have to put so much diligence, so much effort so much work, so much skills building into making them work. Because there's only two options, joy or misery. So let's choose joy. And joy comes from work. That's where it comes from. We work, we sacrifice, we reconcile, we say, I'm sorry, we reach out, we correct each other. And then it gets really good and relationships make life work. So that's how we go there. So let's talk to Julie, who's calling us from North Carolina. And looks like she just made a big step. Julie, are you debt free?
I am.
Can we honor Dave Ramsey and give the Julie debt free scream? Can I hear you do a Dave Ramsey debt free scream for me?
Right now?
Why not? Why not?
Okay. 3, 2, 1. I'm debt free!
Yay! Woohoo! How long did it take you? How much did you have to pay off and how hard was it?
About 23,000.
23,000. All on credit cards?
All student loans.
All student loans. And did you do like Dave said and eat beans and rice until you got to pay it off? How'd you do it?
I tried. I'm a free spirit, so it took a lot of hard work.
Well, you did it. You did it. You did it. And I would encourage everybody out there. Hey, when you say debt free, the big word there is free. So, whatever you have to do. So how can I help you? I can't help you. You don't have any problems. You have no debts. You can do anything you want to today.
Yeah. Well, thanks. I love change, and I know I want to go to Australia and celebrate that way. And
you love what?
Change.
Change. I thought you said I love pain. I was going, well, I guess that shouldn't be hard to find. If you love pain, there's a lot of that around. So you love change. All right. All right. So change. What do you want to change today?
Yeah, so I'm wanting to move to another country, and I'm just trying to figure out whether to do it short term or long term. How can I build community if I'm a person who really wants to change up everything every couple of years?
Has that been your pattern?
Yes and no. I have been in one location for 4 years, and I've been intentional to make sure that I'm not running from something, but running towards something. But in those 4 years, I have changed jobs and places that I've lived, but I've stuck with my community.
Oh, you stuck with your community. That's good. That's good. It's better to change t-shirts than change friends every day. That's important. So long term, short term, I don't I'll give you a thought about this because I don't know really what you're talking about in terms of, exactly what that means. But generally speaking, if we're going to do something long term, we make that decision based on enough knowledge, to know that whatever we're investing in, that's going to be a long-term investment. Enough knowledge to know, yeah, this makes sense. Okay. Otherwise, short term is about gaining knowledge. And so if you're thinking about moving to another country, I mean, if I were going to move to another country, I sure would want to have a great deal of knowledge about what that's going to be about, et cetera, et cetera. Or I'd move there short term and try it out and learn. I mean, that sounds like a simple answer, but why isn't that the answer?
I guess my question is more, is it healthy to change my community every couple of years?
Well, why do you have to totally change it? I mean, if you move, you can still keep in touch with your old ones as well as gaining new ones. Is it healthy? Uh, there are a lot of people that do it, and they seem to do it somewhat successfully, because I think what they're doing when they do it is they're really working on the depth of community that they build in a new place. You see a lot of times, missionaries do this, and other people that have to move around a lot. Um, it would be an interesting. I've never really looked at the research on this, Julie, but I would, my experience anecdotally, and for some other, psychological and science reasons, is that I really believe that we were created for long-term relationships, as well as having the capacity for short-term. And so I would want to make sure that if you're changing your support systems, that you're also keeping deep and sustaining contact with the ones that maybe you might not be living in the same place, but keeping those long-term connections. I think they're very important. But only I mean, when you change every couple of years, do you function well? Do you get depressed? Are you feeling alive? Are you growing? Is your life getting better? Does the short-term community serving you well? You tell me.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Wait a minute, ask you a question. Did you hear it?
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm still young, so I've only moved in a big way 2 times, and I think it has served me very well.
Okay.
I do, as you've talked before about how like love has the potential to go away if that's a hard wiring. I think I'm still working on that. In the back of my head, I think that love has the potential to go away. So I do feel like, so many of the things that you say, in a healthy place to date, to have that support system around you.
Yeah.
I'm wanting to make sure that I'm not pulling away from some healthy things that I've put in my life.
Yeah. And that's a very good insight. Here's one thing I would want you to look at. What happens when we make an attachment is it's sort of like the roots start to grow in the soil. And so if you and I have a relationship, and I've known you for this long, but we're vulnerable to each other, and they're opening up our hearts, then the roots of the attachment go deeper into our hearts, right? Well, think of your heart as a circle like this, and there's kind of the water line and below the surface. And up here on the surface level, you're making these attachments. But if you stay there for a while, then the roots are going to go down. And the deeper the roots go, the deeper the need in you gets awakened, and the deeper the love, and the deeper all that is. And that may be where some of these fears lie. So sometimes increased time in a relationship gets people more deeply attached. And that's when they find their conflicts. That's why people can fall in love and everything be great for 6 months, and then all hell breaks loose, because they're getting deeper into their hearts. And that's where the hurts and the wounds and all that are. So if you find yourself getting deep and getting really connected, and then you find the restlessness coming, or that may be bubbling up fears because something good is happening, not something to run away from. So I would just caution you against that. Okay. Hope that helps.
Thanks. Awesome.
Thanks for your call. Enjoy your life of change. You know what? God made a bunch of different kinds of people, didn't he? I mean, we're all the same in a lot of ways, and we're all different. You got a fingerprint that is not like anybody else's. You know, every snowflake is different. Every fingerprint is different. There's much stuff in that whole world of everything is different. The point is that God didn't make us all the same. Some people do well in certain kinds of living life their way, and other people don't. And so, to each their own, but we have to ask, whatever our own way of doing something, do we have the universals present? And that is deep, abiding relationship with others, experience of freedom, being able to process and get over our pain, learning new skills, having a purpose, all those kinds of things. Wherever you live out life, I would want those present in how you do it. Okay. Let me see here. Where are we? Where is sorry, I'm getting lost in my little calls here. Let's go to Patrice, who's calling us from Wisconsin. Sounds like with a question about marriage. Patrice, welcome to the program.
Hi, thank you for taking my call.
Hi.
I'm calling. I have been married for 38 years and to a full-blown narcissist that I guess I never really realized, although I watch your show all the time. And because of the COVID, we just sold everything and moved to Arizona. Was there for 4 months, and I had to come back to Wisconsin for medical appointments every 5 weeks. And my flights keep getting canceled. So I have been here now since March. And
You've
realized
been in Wisconsin and he's in Arizona?
Yes.
Okay.
And
so the separation is not about conflict. The separation is just about the COVID travels. Is that right?
Correct. But
okay,
in this time,
all right. So
I have realized.
What's the question?
I have realized how abusive our relationship is. And we talk to each other 3 times a day, and it's just very topical. But I don't know. I feel like this is God's way of intervening to show me a lot of light. When I'm with him, I want to die. And when I'm here, I want to live.
Wow.
And I'm really confused because 38 years of marriage, and I guess I don't know where to go from here or what to do about it. It's just been a real eye-opener, but I don't know what step to do next.
Well,
I'm in no hurry to get back.
Were you 38 years and didn't know there was a problem? You said this has been an eye-opener.
No.
Yeah, so something had to have, some way that you've been aware.
Told I was the problem. It's always, I was the problem.
You mean he's told you that?
Yes,
yeah.
Yes. So everything I've tried to do to make him happy has never made him happy. He just finds something else wrong with me or whatever. And I being a good wife and mom is like number one in my book. And it's weird to be states apart, and I feel like I'm a better person, and I'm so happy, and I feel guilty for being happy because I want to be happy there with him too.
Well, that's a good,
38 years.
Yeah, that's a pretty good sentence, right? Have you guys ever, in other words,
but
to say to him, honey, sometimes the things, let me back up for a second. Does he know that you feel, quote, abused by him, whatever that means?
Yes.
He does.
Yes. And his answer is, this is who I am, take it or leave it. He's not going to change.
And what are we talking about? What is
perception.
What is the this that you've said to him?
I have said this is emotional abuse, or this is financial abuse, or
stop. Financial abuse, emotional abuse, you're very controlling. Those are unactionable descriptors. Okay. If I'm on the other end of that and you say I'm emotionally abusive, I don't know what to do with that. Okay. It's not specific. Okay. What I want you to say is okay, when you do this particular objective thing, that hurts me. So what would an example of that be?
He'll be mad at me and never tell me why he's mad. Ever tell me. I'm just supposed to figure it out. And okay. I will beg to know what it is that I've done wrong. And he's like, well, you'll figure it out. Or trust me, it'll just never happen again because I won't let it. And I'm like, what is it? And I can't come up with anything.
Okay.
I just don't even know what it is.
Yeah, the term for that
Um,
is stonewalling. Like you just, you can't get through. Um, well, what attempts have been made to work on this together?
well, that's interesting because I've actually been in counseling because I have the theory that I can't change anybody else. I can just worry about myself. So basically for 38 years, I've pretty much been in and out of counseling to figure
Well,
out
what
how I
attempts
can
have
cope
been for
with.
the two of you to go in together?
He refuses because he doesn't have a problem,
But
according to him.
you've asked him on multiple occasions to go to counseling together.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think that's got to be the step, right? The question is how you get him into that, right? Because what you've learned, and here's probably, I'd say, something like this. Honey, I've become aware of some things since I've been back here. I've talked to you a lot about things that are hurtful to me, and for example, the blah blah blah. Name a few. Okay.
Right.
And because I really want to resolve them, I really want to be close to you. I want us to have a good relationship. Um, and when I talk to you about it, um, it doesn't go anywhere. You say, well, that's just my problem or this and there, but it doesn't take us a step, towards that getting better. And since I've been away, since I've been back here, and I've been away from some of that stuff, I've just really become aware of how much I need for this to change in order for us to be able to thrive. And so I've asked you before, but I'm going to ask you again. When I come back there, I want us to go see a marriage counselor together because I can't continue kind of the way it's going. I need for something to change. And that's the
I
conversation
have,
that I would have.
and he won't. He won't. He says, I don't have a problem. Life is fine
Okay.
for me. Do it.
I
Do what you
understand.
want. And I don't.
Well, hold on a second. I understand that you feel like you don't have a problem. I'm not telling you that you do. I'm telling you that I have a problem being with you in the way that things are now. That's what I'm telling you. And I want us to go talk about that problem, how we can be together in a way that I don't feel so bad. That's what I want to go work on.
And his response is, "You're in control of your feelings, not me, and leave me out of it."
Okay, I can do that. I can do that. And I can do that. Right now, the way I'm doing that is just staying back here. I guess if I come home, the way I'll do that is I'll just have to see how I do that. And then when you're back there and he tries to engage you in this stuff, then this is where a good marriage counselor, even if you go alone, which is the other thing I would suggest. Oops, I just saw the clock here. I gotta wind it up. The other thing I would suggest is when you go back there and he does these things, then you said, okay, you said leave you out of it. So leaving you out of it. And you live your life and start to have, some limits with him of where you're going to expose yourself to this. And then that's got to have some sort of leverage with him. If you're saying, I can't talk to you until you address this. I'm going to lunch with Susie, or I'm going to go do this. If he starts to lose contact with you, so he's gaining something by having you in the orbit, right? And so if you start to have boundaries that say, well, he wants to talk about dinner, he wants to talk about this, he wants to go do this. Well, I can't do that until we address what happened at lunch. Okay. And
Uh-huh.
you said you want me to leave you out? I'll leave you out of it, but I'm inviting you into it. But until you want to talk about that, or until you want to see the counselor too, then I can't engage. So some way of finding what I would like for you to look for are ways in which he's getting benefits from the stance. See, the stance he's taking is working for him. And then ultimately, if he just totally stonewalls you and doesn't care, then you have bigger, stronger limits that you pull into place. But right now, I think here's what I would want you to consider: that there's been so much adapting to him that he doesn't have any fear of losing control of you because you want to please him, right? It's important to you. And I think that when you start to say, okay, then fine, I will leave you out of it. I'll go talk to our marriage counselor about this. And if you want to come, you're welcome, because I am talking about our marriage, and just start to get engaged less around the way he pulls you in, and see if that does something. And then if not, then you can say, you know what? I mean, ultimately, what people do sometimes, they go, until you'll agree to go talk about our problems, I just can't be around you. At some point.
Yeah, I feel guilty. I feel guilty for being happy right now. I feel so odd.
Look, if I'm, if you're hitting your head up against the wall and it hurts and you stop, it's not going to hurt anymore. Don't feel guilty, right? I mean, there's a reason you feel crummy. But here's the other tip I would give you. I would get some help in learning how to talk to him, and I would stay away from these categorical, descriptors like emotionally abusive or narcissistic, or, you're financially controlling, all those things. I would stay in specific behaviors that you can ask him to do or not do. And that generally gets way further down the road than when we describe somebody in something that's not really actionable. It's easier for them to be.
Yeah, I was just trying to condense it for your sake.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Well,
I got it.
Well, thank you so much.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
Take a look at boundaries.me. There's a lot of stuff on there that would really, really apply to this. And take a look at the book Boundaries in Marriage. I think that might help as well. Okay, once again, we are at the time mark. I can't, it just goes by fast. And so it has been good to be with you again. We've talked about a lot of different stuff here that always we can get something out of for our own lives. We all have somebody that's not listening, right? Or we all have some changes we want to make, or somebody in our life that's hurting. Those are some of the calls we got today. So what I love about this program, I love doing it with you, is that we can all learn together. So thanks for joining me. Remember, go to boundaries.me, boundaries.me. Check it out, because everything we talk about on this program will give a couple of little snippets, in a conversation. But in boundaries.me, you can go to a whole nother level of all the principles behind all of what we talk about in all these different contexts of life. And it's a fun platform. Go check it out, boundaries.me, and share the program with your friends so we can continue to build our tribe here as we're developing herd immunity against dysfunction. Okay. It's good to be with y'all. And I will see you back here tomorrow. I think back at our regular time tomorrow. We had to change the time today because I have things that I had, meetings I couldn't get out of. So I think tomorrow we look pretty good at 1 p.m. for all I know. I think that's good. Okay. 1 p.m. Pacific. All right. Have a good day, guys. See you then. Bye-bye.